dear friend Franklin Williams, and he's also Franklin Williams Jr. to be specific. You'd think that he was a country western
Yes.
star, but
Yes, I
but
am.
you are. I have this friend who's
Here I am.
a reggae musician named Free Joseph, who for many years
Okay.
when he first came to the States to play was going by the name of Tex Joseph.
Oh,
Quite an interesting
interesting.
guy. Yep. I'm actually trying to get him to come up to Mowgli for a preview concert for the kids, but we'll see if his time schedule allows. So,
That'd be pretty cool.
yeah. How you doing, Frank? Are you doing okay?
Pretty good. Pretty good. I just yeah, finally got myself back in the gym again. So that's good because I had been out of the gym probably a few years anyway. So now I'm
Yep.
back to getting up at 5:30 every morning to go work out before I go to work. So
Uh-huh.
get
Well,
myself
Frank
back
is
in
on
shape.
the board of directors of the Holt Elwell Foundation, along with his wife, Nandi. Tell me, Frank, are you guys the
Nandi.
Nandi? Sorry, are you guys the first
Mhm.
couple to be on the board together?
I'm not sure for the first couple. I know we're the first African American couple, but
Uh-huh.
I'm not sure about the first couple.
That 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 too is a great thing. So, what year did you tell us about growing up a little bit, and then how you came to be at Mowgli?
So yeah, I grew up in inner city Philadelphia. I mean, I'm not going to say it was I was in a poor neighborhood or anything like that. I mean, my parents were solidly middle class. So you know, I got most of what I wanted. Well, no, I got everything I needed and some of what I wanted. So it wasn't like I was starving for anything. And obviously, being at some place like Malgi is proof of that because sending a kid off to a summer camp in New Hampshire is no small feat for some people anyway, coming out of Philadelphia. But yeah, I grew up. I went to a private school called Ivy Leaf from kindergarten through eighth grade. School was actually they recently closed. The owners passed, both of them at this point have both passed. So it was a private school in Philadelphia, not very large, but they had again grades kindergarten through eighth. Um, um, Mowgli was well. So I'm trying to remember. The Graff family was friends with my cousin Frank Barnett, and the Graffs were at Mowgli already.
Hmm.
Introduced my cousin Frank, and Frank is how I found out about my.
Okay. I had forgotten that Frank
I
Barnett was your
started
cousin.
in '79. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
He's doing well, by the way.
Oh,
In
good. Please give him my very best wishes.
fact, his yeah, his nephew just recently got married, and they're doing another ceremony upcoming pretty soon.
And is Frank living in Pennsylvania as well?
Uh, yes, he's still in the Philly area. So yeah, he's still in Philly. I currently am down in Maryland now. Wife and I moved down to
Oh,
Maryland. Oh yay, internet problems again.
huh.
Yeah,
Well,
we moved down to Maryland about 3 years ago now.
okay. And
So
when
we're
you
actually about 8 miles outside of DC.
how much older is your cousin than you?
Frank is what is it, 9 years older than me?
Oh, okay.
Yeah, 9 years.
And was Mr.
Yeah,
Hart
so
was
I
Mr. Hart still director when you came, or?
yes, Mr. Hart was still director. The Browns were my Cub parents, and you, of course, were I think you were Trip Master there.
Yeah, that's
It was either
what
you or Pete St. John. I can't remember
yeah.
exactly who.
What was your first year?
My first year was 79.
Okay.
Oh, and Miss Linda Robinson was the nurse at the time too.
Right, right. Yeah. Yeah, I was trip master.
And of course, and well, actually at that point, I'm trying to think. At that point, I believe all three of the Bankston brothers were still around camp,
Hmm.
although I believe Craig wasn't there very much, or at least not on a full-time basis anyway.
Right, right.
Yeah, all three of them were still hanging around camp. Well, obviously, Bob and Rick were full-time staff at
Yeah.
that point.
So
But yeah.
what do you recall from your Cub years? This is really going to test you.
Well, I mean, it's funny because I've told this little thing to a few different family members who I'm trying to convince to come to Mowgli, friends and family anyway, that my first night there, I cried because I wasn't sure I wanted to be there. And then my last night of that summer, I cried because I didn't want to go home. It was I yeah, I'd had so much fun. I just didn't want the summer to end. I didn't want to go home. And
Yeah,
I
uh,
can't remember, was Paugus Mills, was that a Cub trip?
I don't know, but well, it was either Cubs or Tumai, or first, the youngest year.
Yeah, I remember. I very deeply remember playing King of the Hill in that giant red pile of sawdust.
Yeah, yeah. Well, if it isn't obvious, Frank was one of my favorite campers when I was a counselor at Mowgli, and whenever I think of him,
Oh.
I think of a smile that is 2 miles wide. And you were always, you were always, I didn't see you after that first night at Mowgli when you cried, but I saw you all the rest of the time and never, I don't think I ever, well, I certainly don't remember you not smiling except as a member of the racing crew when you were just badass.
Well, yeah. Yeah,
Uh,
those 2 years on Racing Crew were fun.
yeah,
Didn't end the way I wanted, but it was still fun.
right. Well,
Yeah, I mean the camp it's an amazing place. Everybody. It's one of those things where it left a mark on me because I had two sons that went through there. My my ex-wife, her older son went through. Two of her nephews came. Her niece that went to Onaway because of the being in Mowgli. And I've had a couple of other friends, family friends that came. One of my cousins sent her older son.
wow.
Uh, yeah. So,
That's quite a tradition. But when you came, there weren't too many African American kids at Mowgli. It's improved a lot, I think.
no, there were no kids. There were no other kids when I was there. The Merrills were the only others
Okay.
at all. Obviously they were campers and Mrs. Merrill being the chef at the time.
Yeah. Yeah. Um, so you were a trailblazer uh, under.
Trying to keep the trail blazing anyway.
Yeah, that's right. Trying to keep it blazing. Just as Mr. Hart did. You know, uh, I'm I don't remember what year Junior Bender came to Mowgli, but he was really, I mean, other than some staff members, um, Junior was the first African American kid at Mowgli, and he established himself well and right away. And Mr. Hart, just really wanted to see changes happen, and he made the extra effort, I think. What do you remember about Mr. Hart?
Nice. I had never heard of him. Oh, he was great. I mean, he was always willing to listen. He tried to point you in the right direction when you had questions. Or I mean, I remember there was one time I remember getting, which I think only happened twice in the entire time I was there. I got sent to Mr. Hart's office, the director's porch, as it were. And he sat me down and talked to me and just helped me figure out where I went wrong and how I could do better. And it wasn't like judgmental or anything like that. And it was, you know, just come on, see, what's going on with you or whatever. So,
Uh-huh.
but he, great guy. I distinctly remember his piano playing on Sundays.
Yeah, yeah. And do you remember what you did wrong?
Yeah.
And do you want to divulge it?
I'd actually got I, well, I won't go into all the details, but I'd actually gotten into a fight with Mrs. Robinson's son, Kenyon.
Okay. I'm gonna have to make sure that Kenyon hears this. Uh, and what about the other time? The other time you ended up on his porch?
I don't remember exactly what happened in that one.
Uh-huh.
I I probably was playing a prank on somebody, and it was, it wasn't just me at that point. I don't remember who else was there, but I know it wasn't just me.
Okay.
But yeah, I'm pretty sure we were playing a prank on somebody, just being knucklehead kids at the time.
Yeah, yeah. Well, that's not unusual, the pranksters. So, what were
Yeah, for Mowgli, it definitely is not.
well, even among the staff, though Bob Benson,
Yeah, I remember a few of those.
yeah, I mean, you had uh, people who, in many cases, seemed quite straight-laced, and yet, in the deep recesses of the night, they were the pranksters. Bob Benson was one of them, and Phil Hart was another.
Oh, really?
Yeah, he
I
he
remember.
could he could be a prankster, but he usually only did it to counselors.
Yeah,
What
I
were
remember hearing stories of. I don't remember. One of the Merrills had stayed up one night while the counselor was going up to late night supper or whatever, and hid on top of the lantern house. And as somebody was walking by, jumped down off the lantern house to scare
uh, what were your most memorable trips from your days in the pack?
them. Probably was that Red River canoeing trip or Red Ribbon canoeing trip rather. Up to what was it, Connecticut Lakes. Um, Doing that and just various times going up Cardigan, doing parts of the presidential as some other trips. I never made one of the squads for Mount Washington or yeah, Jefferson, I
Hopefully,
think it
yeah,
was.
yeah,
Yeah, I never made one of those. I wasn't that great of a hiker. I do remember hitting part of the presidentials on other trips too. And
yeah.
like one of my favorite things was always like when we were out on a hike, it'd be like 90 degrees out or something, and then it'd start to rain.
Yeah.
my connection being goofy again.
I remember, I think I'm guessing it was Panther Trip that I did usually for in what's called the Montalban Ridge, which intersects the presidentials, which probably gave you the chance to
Hmm.
climb up Boots,
Yeah.
maybe even Washington. Yeah. Huh. Yeah, that's not a, I mean,
Yeah, it
if you're
must have
gonna,
been Model Bond Ridge.
yeah,
'Cause I
if you're
distinctly
gonna,
remember that name.
yeah, yeah. And Stairs Mountain, that mountain that were looked like two big steps in the wilderness. Yep. Huh.
Yeah.
Well, so for you, what was the thing that you loved most about the experience at Mowgli? I mean,
Um, I'm trying to decide like the most. I mean, everything was great. Was pretty
yeah,
much great. I mean, like I said, I may not have been the greatest hiker, but I did like it.
yeah, yeah,
But just spending time outdoors, hanging out, getting making new friends, playing, running all over camp, uh, you know, playing ultimate ultimate frisbee and capture the flag, running through the woods
yeah,
was that sort of thing. Obviously crew day and water sports day, land sports day, woodsman's day.
yeah, yeah.
Just yeah. I mean, it I don't know if I could pin down one single thing, but just
Right.
thinking about all of it in general, I just always had a lot of fun.
And you took the crew, I mean, like a well, in an amazing way. You rode before?
No, I had never been in a boat before Mowgli, period. Um, so any kind of boat as for that matter.
Right.
So getting to go canoeing and rowboating and sailing and then crew. It's like, okay, let's try it all.
Yeah.
But yeah, crew. As a matter of fact, I got to the point, like you said, I took the crew. I actually considered doing it in college. The only problem for me was I was a commuter student at Drexel, and their crew practice was at 5 o'clock in the morning, which means
Oh.
I would have had to leave my house at like 4:30, and I was like, no, that's not going to happen.
Yeah. Are there particular staff who played a big role in your experience at Mowgli?
Of course, you. um, it's funny because I remember Mr. Reef. I want to say I was either in Tumai and Baloo, and one of the kids, Jorge Covarrubias. He would this thing. We had this thing. He called Mr. Reef. My flashlight does not work. That just sticks in my head for some reason. Um, and then like sitting down having conversations with the Merrills, both Doug and Don, Mr. Graff, uh Jim Graff. I still, they're in
Sure.
my head, they're still
Yeah.
everybody is still Mr. because they were so
Yeah.
much older counts. I mean,
Right.
so it's weird, like even being I remember, running through camp and falling and like hyperextending my knee and taking all the skin off on one side of my and going to see Robinson in a lodge and her taking care of me. Um, and then, joking with Mrs. Merrill when she was back in the kitchen. Yeah.
She was,
And Halsey. Oh, and Paul Brown was another one that sticks out. And well, specifically, I remember he used to drive one of those gigantic the old style Ford Broncos, and on his one of his days off, he was out driving around and hit a moose, and it broke his leg in the car,
oh my,
which goes to show you how large a moose really is.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I don't know if you've heard me tell this story before, so stop me if you have, but Paul Brown and I used to have this thing where we never really accepted the rules that we were supposed to be back from our day off before the boys were asleep. And so we'd end up coming in very late at night, at obviously
Mm-hmm.
different vehicles. But there's that one hill before Mowgli, you know what I'm talking about, as you're driving in from
Mm-hmm.
from the north. There's that
Of
one
Route
long hill.
4.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And Paul and I used to joke about the fact that our strategy was to hit the top of that hill as fast as we could and then put the car in neutral and try and make it into Mowgli to the to the parking area without being caught by Mrs. Hart or Mr. Hart.
How
Uh, uh,
did that work out for
well, it usually
you?
works, but every once in a while he'd nab us.
Okay.
But he was forgiving. But we would coast.
That's
There was
hilarious.
and you couldn't go around the jungle house.
I'm sure he was just happy that you actually came back.
Yeah, I suppose. Yeah. Well, so tell me some of the kids that were in your dorm as you went through Mowgli. Kenyon, obviously, was he in your dorm?
um, so yeah, Kenyon. Well, he was with me in Cubs. And then I went to Tumai and he stayed back because
Okay.
Kenyon he's a little bit younger than me. Um, there was what Hardy Wischelberger, Mark Ventimiglia, uh, uh, Tom Keister, Eric Monroe, James Bradbury, Andre Sanchez, Chris John's brother,
Yeah.
obviously.
Yeah.
Trying to think. One of the Vallis boys, I think it was Greg.
Greg, yes.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Greg. Well, he was in our like Panther and Dan.
yeah, yeah. I well, there was some you had some pretty cool guys in your group, some fun guys. Mark Ventimiglia, I've gotten a kick
Yeah.
over him over the years.
Oh, how did I forget about Daisuke Yamazaki?
Oh my gosh, yeah.
Yeah, Mark. Mark is. I mean, I haven't spoken to him, but I haven't spoken to Mark for a long time. But I keep in touch with him on Facebook for at least I did for a while. Yeah, Mark's hilarious.
For a while he was doing location scouting for movies and stuff like that. And I always got a kick out of his publicity photo was him and this big old bulldog. That was fun.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. So you've had a significant number of relatives and kids that have come to Mowgli as a result of your experience there.
Yes.
Yeah, that's pretty
Oh
amazing.
yeah.
Paul
Yeah, quite a
Brown.
few. Hey, what were you saying about Paul Brown?
Well, just that he was one of those jokesters. He was always he always had something
Okay.
to sleeve. And he was funny because we used to, as staff members, particularly young staff members, we would like make up funny songs from the Mowgli songs about being a staff member and uh, and he usually was he was usually the source of those jokes. I was always glad during crew week. I was always glad during crew week that he was on my side, even if we didn't win the race. We always had the most fun. Yeah. So
I mean, that is what the spirit of Crew Week is supposed to be about, right?
Yeah,
It is
yeah,
supposed to be the fun.
it is. And do you think that that's still the spirit? I mean, from your experience with the kids?
Recently, yeah, I was actually pretty surprised. Because I know how, and kind of remember too how competitive kids can be,
Right.
and especially in those age groups. And
Yeah.
it they were, I mean, they were cheering for the red and blue, but I didn't, at least I didn't see it. It may have happened, but I didn't see anybody like just straight up teasing anybody or rubbing it in anybody's face or anything like that afterwards. So,
Right, right. So what was it? I mean, here's the big philosophical question. How did Mowgli impact your life, particularly after your experience there was over? What were the things about it?
well, it's funny because different aspects of Mowgli just randomly pop up through my life. So when we moved down here to Maryland, we moved, got a fairly large property, and we had a tree come down, and I was like, "Oh, just get me an axe. I'll chop this tree up and no problem." I was like, "Wait, that's something I learned in Maui," and actually even since I think I want to say probably Aquila or Panther year, I've actually kept a bow around. And then last summer we actually bought a brand new one because that bow obviously was 30, 40 years old, whatever. So I just bought a new bow last summer. Even bought a crossbow. Um, part of that experience, the reason I got the crossbows probably has to do something with one of the Gasserero brothers. Because I remember he had this black and gold Barnett crossbow that you would fold in half to cock it back.
Huh.
I've actually looked for that thing. I can't find it. I don't think they make it anymore, but yeah, it would be cool to find that again. Um, but I part of and then part of the other things that Matt Lee has probably instilled in me is that it like helps with work is just the teamwork aspect because it's as much as it is about fun, it's also a lot about teamwork, between cleanup and inspection and crew week and the hikes and everything, and being out in a canoe or whatever, or sailboating with someone. You're working as a team to make sure that you're getting everything taken care of that you need to. Um, and obviously, as staff, it's a team effort to get everything done there too. No one staff member is doing pretty much anything by themselves other than probably driving.
Right. So that brings us
So
to,
yeah, I mean,
was the end of your Mowgli experience until you came back, obviously, to as a parent and a staff and a member of the board. Was it your den year? Was that, or did you come back on the staff?
I did 2 years as junior staff after
Okay.
that.
Yeah.
Helped out with archery and axemanship, and obviously, the various junior staff duties around camp.
Well, tell us a little bit about your life after Mowgli. To become the Franklin Williams Jr. that you are.
Well, yeah. So let's see. Obviously, after that, went to ended up at Drexel University in their co-op program for IT. Did 3 years in that. The co-op program at Drexel makes school a 5-year initiative. I did three. On my third co-op, I got offered a full-time job, so I left. And eventually went back and I finished up my degree in probably 2008, I guess it was.
Huh.
Yeah, 2008. I went back and finished my degree. Ended up with a dual major in IT and information systems. Um, so yeah, so I had basically been working since the 93 in IT. Um, uh, Same field, obviously, but different, and obviously many different jobs over the years. I mean, I've worked for, let's see, Jefferson Hospital, University of Penn Hospital, Blue Cross, Cigna Healthcare, um, and been in the banking industry with JP Morgan Chase, a couple times working around well, what used to be First USA. I guess now that's Capital. I think that's Capital One now. Might be. I don't know
Oh, okay.
for
Yeah.
sure. Um, and in pharma area, by a company owned by CVS, called Omnicare. They were a clinical research firm, but I'm still in IT for them. Um, done networking and well, computer networking, I should say. Server builds, help desk positions. Then back in, I guess it was 97, I got a certification for Microsoft uh, I got what they call the MCSC. So it's basically uh, a general mastery of Microsoft
Right,
products.
right.
Primarily in that point, it was Exchange Server. So I've been doing so, which is their email systems. I've been working with that ever since, and worked in companies anywhere from 30 people to well, the biggest place I worked was Deloitte, the 500,000 mailboxes in there. They actually had their their cloud presence is actually larger than Microsoft's own presence.
Huh.
So
But those
that was interesting, of course.
those Microsoft certifications are not easy to come by. You got to be at the top of your game to get those. That's my understanding anyway.
Yeah, well, yeah, it's not necessarily easy. And the interesting thing about it was the company I was working for at the time was called Vanstar. They're no longer around. They were purchased by another company called Enicom, which since then that company has even gone out of business, from what I understand. Anyway, so the program I was in, it was a 7-week program where they would send us off to a training facility down in Leesburg, Virginia. And not only did we do the Microsoft certification, but Compaq, which doesn't even exist anymore as a server company, had a certification on their servers. And so that was 3 tests on top of the 5 others that we had, or 5 or 6, whatever it was, to get the Microsoft certification, MCSE. So we did all of that in the 7 weeks, which was pretty intense at the
Right.
time.
Wow. Huh. So you've been doing information services and IT really since you graduated. That's
Yeah. Yeah.
and
I
I'll
mean,
bet
actually,
the
even I
evolution
want
is
to say
mind-boggling.
right after high school, a friend of mine and I, yeah, it has been. And I tell everybody, like, IT, IT is one of those fields that I call a great equalizer, because you don't necessarily need a degree. Well, no, not necessarily. You don't need a degree to get started. It won't hurt you, but you can obviously you can get into IT without a degree, and you can make a ton of money without ever having a degree. A couple, 1 or 2 certs is never going to be a bad thing, but once you've got, even if you don't have any certs and you get into it, once you start getting the experience, the certs become less important, and you still can make a ton of money.
Yeah. Huh. Well, that's good. Yeah. Well, I think a lot of people are realizing now that uh, a college education is a good, certainly a good thing, but not an essential thing for success in the world.
Yeah, absolutely. As a matter of fact, the issue right now is, we need more people in trade positions, which are not college degree type jobs. So yeah, I mean, and like the sheer number of folks that they need just to replace all the air traffic controllers that retired is phenomenal to me.
Yeah.
I,
Huh.
yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah. So, your obviously, your axemanship skills, are they still honed?
Yeah, I was surprised because we had a tree come down in front of the house a couple of weeks ago. So I went and broke out the axe, and I was like, I realized my right side swing is still good. My left side is a little rusty.
Was Charlie Walbridge the axemanship guy when you were there, or was that Jim Graff?
It was Jim Graff. Charlie Walbridge would come back in every so often and do canoeing, and well, he brought his kayak actually, but yeah, he would help out with kayaking because Paul Brown was still the red ribbon instructor at the time.
Huh. I'll be darned. Well, Frank, this has been really fun.
Absolutely.
I we'll have to do it again.
Sure.
Maybe figure out a way to uh, uh, get you together on the line with Kenyon. We can reprise your confrontation.
Oh, it's been long since the
That's
squashed, obviously,
yeah,
because
yeah,
we did have to spend the rest of the summer, and he was still we were campers throughout the rest of the together for the rest of our
sure,
time there. So
sure. Uh, well, good hunting, my friend. It's great to talk with you.
good talking to you as well.
Okay, take care.
Bye.